Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. Today, we're going to be talking with my good friend, Kurt Best. He's like my new Dadpreneur bestie. Um, if you received the email, if you read the post, the introductory post, you know that Kurt and I just connected online and we just started jamming about business automations. And we realized that we both had a love for systems and automations and the way that it allows us to serve our clients and also to be present with our families. And so, without further ado, I'm going to let Kurt give you his spiel and his introduction, and I'm going to have him talk about where he's been in business, because this is not his first rodeo. He's not a brand new entrepreneur. He's been doing this for a very long time. So, with that, Kurt, go ahead.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for that great introduction. And thank you for yesterday for the wonderful video you did. I really, really appreciate it. It touched my heart. And as we talked about yesterday, it was my birthday. So my 43rd
Yes,
birthday
happy
was yesterday.
birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. So that it was nice. It was a good compliment into just another good message for the day. And yeah, so thank you also for the opportunity to do this, for bringing me on to share my story. I hope it encourages and blesses other people, and it's been an honor and a blessing getting to know you, and just to see how our relationship and friendship and connections of other people that we've had has
Right?
been. So
So
it's
many
really exciting, and it's
years.
amazing how God works. So
God
thank you for this opportunity. And so yeah, yesterday, being my 43rd birthday, I thought back like on my entrepreneurial
Yes,
journey. And
mutual 43-year-olds in the house.
yeah. And so my journey started, believe it or not, 30 years ago. When I tell people that, they're like, no way. I said, yes, I was 12, 13 years old, somewhere around there. And like a lot of other people, I started with just cutting the lawns around my neighborhood. And actually, I built that up into my 20s into a successful property maintenance company. We ended up doing maintenance services on condominiums all around Western New York. I grew up in Western New York. And so I built that successfully. And since then, on and off over the last 30 years, I've built 4 successful businesses from the ground up, not all at the same time. They weren't all at the same time. They were different seasons and phases of my life. But that was really what started my entrepreneurial journey. So in that time, I've realized I've built 2 of those have been service-based businesses, 2 have been product-based, 2 were offline, 2 were online. So I have a little bit of
The whole
experience
thing.
kind of all over the place. Yeah, kind of all over the place. So yeah, so definitely been around the block a few times with businesses. And I guess the biggest part that changed for me, being in my 20s and having a business was different. But when I was 31, I got married. 2010, I got married. 2012, my first daughter was born, and I was actually doing a pastoral internship in New York City. So while I was doing a pastoral internship, I was still a newlywed for 2 years. I was working my way through school, Bible college. I had this newborn daughter, and
Right.
I thought, well, I need to have some income coming into the house. So what did I do? I went back to business. So I launched a side business, a candle company. So in the mix of all of that, I also launched a business, and I built that business up quite successfully. And then, so 2016, we moved from New York City back to Central New York, where my wife is from, so we could be closer to family.
Yeah.
Her family's here, my family's in Buffalo, and I brought my candle company with me. Now I have another daughter. My second daughter was born in 2015. So that's kind of how it went. And when we came in 2016 to Central New York, I left full-time formal ministry, but I still had my candle company. But what happened was, all my clients were downstate. I built my candle company into
Right.
wholesaling, and we were doing wholesaling and private labeling, but the cost of shipping from Syracuse to New York City got too expensive. So I started losing clients one by one. So I started to look at how can I remarket, rebrand, relaunch my business in Central New York. And in
Yeah.
doing so, I dug into learning social media marketing. And in the midst of all of that, I discovered that I was better at social media marketing than I was selling my candles. And it was a better fit for our family. It was
Yeah.
less overhead, better opportunity. I could make more money. Which again is not everything, but it was just it was a lot easier for me to run a social media company than a candle company. So I thought about it, prayed about it, And then I closed my candle company in 2017 and launched my marketing agency. Started doing social media management first, and then I built that up into a multi-client, full-scale marketing agency. We did social media, SEO, pay-per-click ads, web design, email marketing, everything you could need, anything a business owner. We focused on local service-based and brick and mortar businesses. I did have some clients out of the area, but most of mine were local brick and mortar and service based. So I did that until 2020 when COVID shut everything down.
Oh, right. I know. I think we all hit that pivot point in 2020.
Right.
Yeah. Same. Like we moved from Hawaii to California in 2019 summer, and then 9 months later everything shut down, and my primary means of business building was networking and then in-person marketing, right? Especially if you're not familiar, like Hawaii is a very high touch state, right? It's all about relationship building. It's how my dad built his business. Like he's, I guess he's technically a brick and mortar, but right, it's a handshake business, and very, relationship marketing. And so, yeah. So like, whew, wow, 30 years of entrepreneurship. When you said you started at 12 or 13, it also reminded me of my younger brother who works in my dad's business and now he owns it. But yeah, he was working with my dad alongside my dad since he was about that age. And like you said, you started your business as like just a, grass cutting, weed cutting, and then you developed it into a larger scale business. Same with my brother. He kind of took the reins from my dad, and then now and he's on the social media marketing campaign. Like my dad, he's very old school. Like he only got like an iPhone, I want to say like last year or maybe 2 years now, because like the COVID years is like like where were we? So like, he hasn't had a smartphone for very long. So my dad's very low tech, and my brother just bringing his business, or now their business, my brother's business, into the 21st century.
Love it. My father still has a flip phone, so our fathers are probably close in age. So my father still has a flip phone, believe it or not. We finally got my mother over in 2020 to a smartphone, but
I know. But that's the beauty, I think, for people who are our age or our demographic. We understand the nuances of what it was like in the analog age, and we can bring our our knowledge and expertise from the analog age into the digital age, and we can help a whole span of people. Because even though we are in the digital age, and you and I, right, I mean, we've riffed offline about high-tech funnel things, so you and I can riff on it, but because we have the understanding of the analog age, we can help guide and lead our clients through the upgrades or changes that they need to have. I mean, I'm still working on my dad to get him like some kind of automated scheduling for his showings and whatever, but we'll get there. But the more I keep talking about business systems and automations to him, it's like, one, he sees me as an expert because he's like, what are you doing now? Like, you quit your 6-figure job at this, this corporation to do what? Like, I mean, he understands, but his business he literally built it as a side hustle that was like a dual income for him, right? He always just sees like, oh, my business is a side hustle. Even though he's doing it full time now, he still sees it as a side hustle. He's retired, but he still has, the business for his like cash and pocket money, subsidizing his retirement income. He just calls it his play money.
I actually was in the corporate world too I forgot about that as part of my story. Right after I got married, my father, I grew up in the property management field. My father managed condominiums. He still does. And so I kind of did that as well in my 20s. And then when I first got married, relocating down to New York City, I went back to the corporate world and I started managing co-ops and condominiums. So I left that corporate job to become a stay-at-home dad, because just my wife and I talked about it and we decided that it would be a better fit for us. Plus, I also got called into ministry. So I left the corporate world, and when my daughter was born in 2012, so there's that aspect of it too. So now I've left, like I said, at that point, I've left the corporate world, still adjusting to marriage, going to Bible college, doing a pastoral internship, having a daughter at home, launching a business. People thought I was crazy. They're like, you're launching a business with all these other things. You really have like 4 full-time jobs. I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm diving in.
Yeah. And like that's us raising our hands, like overachievers, like because, and what is it, like it's neurodivergent,
Yep.
or multi-passionate, whatever. It's because we think we can do all the things. And I know a lot of people who are watching this right now or on the replay will also be raising their hands saying that, yes, I can do all the things, or I want to do all the things, or God drops a lot on us. It's like, oh, I have this idea. And, let's be honest, like I have a lot of ideas too. And through the mastermind that we're in together, right, they're really teaching us how to really pare it down and like slim down our offers. And it's been really nice to have the freedom to do that, like that it's okay. Like you don't have to do all the things. Like let's just concentrate on this one thing that you're doing and, like forge ahead with that thing. And then once that's good and solid, then we'll go ahead and build these other things. But anyway, when we like, I know I needed business systems and automation because I was in corporate and running my coaching business. And that was right around the time of my burnout episodes, actually. So I was doing all the things too. And at the time, my son was a teen, and we were experiencing everything that comes with, new teenager, especially, the emotional aspects of it. So I didn't realize that I was getting hit on all sides physically, because my job was very demanding physically in oil and gas. And then, financially, emotionally, and spiritually, like I was just getting attacked on all sides, which I knew was, when I looked at everything, when everything was said and done, that yes, it wasn't just the physical exhaustion, it was everything else that was leading to my burnout episode. And anyway, but before all of that, because I was working in corporate and I was trying to, build this coaching business to replace my 6-figure income, because I was like, I'm not going to just leave myself hanging, right? And then I need to, it's like that Indiana Jones thing, right? Where you're like, and then you replace it, right? So that's where I was trying to get to, but I built my systems and automations to appear that I was a full-time coach. Like my Acuity calendar was set where you could book your coaching sessions, and it would give them the emails and all of that stuff. And that's how, like, my fellow coaches, when they would set up coffee chats or whatever, they would get all of the automated messages and the calendar, and they were just in awe. Like, now it's a thing, but back then it wasn't a thing. There was a lot of back and forth, scheduling, all that. So that's when I first decided I needed systems and automations in my business. So same question for you, like when you're doing all the things, when you decide that, hey, like something's not working, like I'm being stretched too thin, like what was it that led you to build these systems and automations in your business?
Yeah, that's it for me. That's a tough moment to go back to, but we'll go back there. It's fine, because it's going to inspire, my story will inspire others. And I always say your test becomes your testimony. So for me, it was 2018. So we'll go back to August of 2018. My business had been going, my marketing agency had been running hard and fast for about a year at that point. And I, well over 5 figures a month, doing all, by this point, we were full scale.
Yeah.
And I was doing 90% of the work myself, everything involved in all of the aspects, from finding new clients to fulfilling all the services. And again, I'm doing social media management, marketing,
Wow.
running paid Facebook ads, PPC ads, building websites. I'm doing all of this myself. I was probably 15 hours a day, 6, 7 days a week. It was crazy, right? It was nuts.
Right. And it's not like
So,
you're doing it just for yourself, because there are people out here who are doing it for their own businesses. You're doing it for a handful of
right.
other businesses.
Right, I had several clients in different industries and niches, and it's not like I was sticking only with a certain industry. I had service-based and product-based, and for one of my clients, I was doing all of their stuff, even, payment, running their payment processing for their online sales. It was crazy. So I was doing 90% of this myself. So we were on a family vacation in Fire Island, which is a small island off of New York City. And we were on the beach, and my daughter, I had both my daughters at this point. My oldest was 6, my youngest was 3, and I was sitting on the beach with my cell phone on my lap, and I'm doing all this work and engaging and doing all this stuff and checking the Facebook ads I was running for my clients, sitting under an umbrella, right? And my oldest daughter comes up to me on the beach and she says, "Daddy, will you come and play in the sand with us? Come on, you've been sitting there all day." And I said, we're a couple days into the vacation at this point. We would go for a week. And I said, "Oh, honey, Daddy's so busy working. I can't right now. Maybe later." And she's like, "Okay." And she put her head down and she walked away. And I watched her walk away because I was up, her and my wife and my other daughter were down kind of by the shore. And I watched them go and jump the waves and surfs. And I thought, this is what the heck am I doing? That was like, whew, right, a dart right to the heart, because it was like, wait a minute, I have been wanting to do this, wanting to replace that corporate income so I can take my family on a vacation, do all this stuff, have this time freedom. I wanted to run my own business. And what was happening is the business was running me. And I knew at that moment, watching out to this day, I mean, she just turned 10. Her birthday is a week before mine. So she just turned
All
10. That was
right.
4 years
Yes.
ago. And to this day, I still remember it like it was yesterday. And I shake just, thinking about the story, but I overcame it, But
Yes.
that was the turning point for me. That was the day I knew something had to change, because I'm sitting here. I can't even go on vacation with my family and play with my kids and jump to surf, right? Because I'm too busy. I'm doing everything myself. There was just, if I had clients, I had, deadlines. I had, I couldn't just go on vacation and not do anything for a week, right? Because I
Right.
had no systems. I had no
Yeah.
automations. I had nothing in place. I was it. I
Yeah.
put all my eggs in my own basket. So
Yeah.
I said, you know what? This is nuts. I put my phone down in the chair and I got up and I went, and they buried me in the sand. We jumped the waves in the Atlantic Ocean and had fun. And that later that night, we were back at the beach house we were staying at. My aunt and uncle have a beach, or my wife's aunt and uncle have a beach house there. And my daughter said to me, "Daddy, this is the most fun I've had with you in years." She's like, "You're
Wow.
always busy working." And I was like, wow. I was like, and it just kept coming that whole day. So I told my wife later that night, and she said, "Yeah, I've been feeling this for a long time. I didn't know how to tell you. I didn't know how to come to you and be like, you're killing yourself. We don't need
Right.
all of this. Who are you doing this for?" So I started to
Yeah.
think about,
That's the
really,
thing.
what is
Who
it?
are you doing this for?
Right. I started to think, what is it that my family really needs? And it's what they needed was me. They didn't care
Yeah.
about a beach and all that. Yeah, it was nice, but what they wanted and needed was more of me, not more beach time and more of this and more. I was doing
Yeah.
it because I thought that's what they wanted, right? So
Right.
I went home, we enjoyed the rest of the vacation. I had to muddle through, because I still had things to do. Because one of the biggest things I had to do was manage Facebook ads and engagement on social media. So I had to,
Oh, that's like a
respond, and yeah, so there was a lot of that I had to do. But I did as little as I could.
yeah.
So we came home back to Central New York, and I told my wife, "That's it. I'm going to make a change." So I did. I went on this like 6-month journey to figure out, how do I get out of this? How do I change this? And it was learning two things: outsourcing and automation. Those were the two things that did it for me. That is what I had to learn. But the first step, honestly, was the mindset. It was
Yeah.
realizing that I didn't have to have control of everything in my business. And I suspect that there's a lot of business owners out there that think the same thing. And that's okay. Look, I'm being vulnerable. That's how it was. Because here's what I was thinking. Number one, I've got to do everything because nobody else is going to do things the way I'm going to do them. Nobody's going to do
Right.
them as good as I'm going to do them, as fast as I'm going to do them. Nobody's going
Yeah.
to care about my clients and my business as much as I'm going to. So that's what kept me back from outsourcing and getting my hands off. And it was a control issue. It was a mindset issue. I had to start with that. And I had to go on a journey of getting off of that.
Yes.
And
So
coming to that, but that was the first step, admitting it and getting and realizing. And then the second thing was, what did my family really want? Did they want more clients? Did they want more income? Did they want no, they wanted me to go on a vacation and go on a vacation with them. I'd be sitting at dinner. We'd be at dinner and I'd be like this on my phone. I mean, ridiculous. I'm trying to that's not that's not what I signed up for.
No, and I don't think any of us watching today, like we've never started our businesses to be more out of touch, right? And that's the thing, right? When we get into the coaching world, they're like, oh yeah, laptop lifestyle and like freedom, like don't be a slave to your 9 to 5. And then you end up working twice as much in your business because now you're wearing all the hats. When you worked in a corporate job, you had one role, one job, and whether you're in a cubicle or you had a corner office, you had one role and you were in, a business that had, there was an HR department, there are other departments, to take care of the things that you need to run a business, and you just focused on your role. But now as an entrepreneur, especially a solopreneur, we're here like, I have to run my own social media. Ooh, what? I need a lead magnet. Oh, I need a funnel. I need to segment my funnel. And then how are they going to get on? Oh no, discovery calls or what have you. Okay. No. Well, okay, now I'm talking to myself. We'll wait to see if Kurt comes back on. But if you didn't catch anything that he said today, right, his story is the most important part that I wanted you guys to hear today. That, and it was the same for me. My kids are like, I don't see you anymore. And then when, my daughter said that, hold on, let me check. Okay. Let me see. Let's see, we're going to reload the site. Okay, let's see.
Oh,
we're back.
Can you hear me?
I can.
That was weird because it booted me out and I still could see you and hear you, but I was gone. I don't know what happened. I was sitting here and all of a sudden I was gone.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
No. Hey. Okay. Now I'm just like, where were we?
Well, we were talking about, being, realizing what we needed to do and automate. And one thing I was going to say was that business owners or entrepreneurs are the only people I know that leave their 40-hour-a-week job to work 90 hours a week. Right? It's true. We do. Right? Or at least that was me at the beginning.
So true. I mean, it is so true, yeah, it's just one of those things, right, where we think we know better, and then when we get into it, like, oh, then the real thing pops up, and you're like, nobody told me about this. Even when I started in oil and gas, I had no idea what I was doing, like what it took to manufacture, gasoline and petroleum products. I was like, oh, I have to work with chemicals and I have to wear, a suit, and but then it's too late. I already accepted the job, and then, stuff happened. But same thing with entrepreneurship. Like, we don't know everything that it entails until we get in. And I wanted to highlight the fact that you are making consistent 5-figure months. And that's something that like all entrepreneurs like, oh, I want to make 5-figure months or 6-figure a year. And you were doing, like you said, 90% of the work yourself. Mm-hmm. And, when you decided to outsource and delegate, and automate and do all the things that like now we know as business owners that you definitely need. How did it transform your business?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, the first thing, like I said, after I worked through all the mindset stuff, the first thing that I realized was that there are people who can build websites faster and better than I can. There's people
yeah,
who can do SEO and all the citations and the backlinking. And I won't school you on that because that's a snooze fest, right? But there's people and companies who can do those things better and faster than I can. So here's an example. I thought about this the other night after we talked and as I was getting ready for this meeting. At this time I was, so here's a real life example of that'll answer your question. I was doing my basic SEO package was $750 a month. So in my mind I thought, wow, I can do all that I have to do as far as on page, off page SEO. I can keep the whole $750 myself.
right.
But I'm like, but I'm killing myself. I'm spending all this time to try to do everything that goes in line, plus balance all of the other services. So I found a company that could manage per client. And I mean, I just found something quick and because I wanted to just start getting some of this off of my plate. So I
Right.
said, all right, I found this company that would do the take over the management or the the fulfillment of the SEO, and they were going to charge me $500 per client for the basic package. So I thought, oh man, that's only going to leave me with $250 a month profit. But then I thought, wait a minute, I only have to do about an hour worth of work because now it's just a matter of maintaining and managing the work that they're doing, seeing because they would create reports and then I would get white label reports and then send them back to my clients. So maybe it was about an hour per client or something, right? So now before when I was doing like $750 for that same client, I was working about 15 hours per client per month. So I did the math. I
Wow.
don't have it now. I figured out, figured out. I think it was like $50. It was $50 an hour is what I ended up making. I think is what I
Okay.
did. Right. Let's do the math because it's important because I did it the other day. I should have had it written down.
It's
Yeah, it was
okay. We
$50
have
an
these
hour.
epiphany moments. Sometimes it's like, whoa.
Well, it was. So it was about $50 an hour that I was making. And
Yeah.
then so then I said, all right. So I looked at it as now it only ended up taking me once I outsourced it to a company, it only ended up taking me about a half hour a month per client
Okay,
to
so you went from 15 hours a month per client to 30 to half an hour
yeah,
per client.
yeah. Because it just was a matter of looking over the reports and managing the account, right? So
Yeah.
now I was making $250 for a half hour worth of work. So if you look at it as that's $500 an hour, right?
Yeah.
So what did I
Wow.
do?
So you 10x'd.
I 10x'd my hourly rate by outsourcing it. And it's yes, I was making $250 or $500 less a month, but I was making $500 an hour instead of $50 an hour. So once I figured that out in my business and I looked at it that way instead of saying I'm losing $500 a month. No, I'm going from $50 a month to $500 an hour. So I had 4 clients at that time. So this is probably where the math came from. So I was making $3,000 a month, but I was working 60 hours on those 4 clients. So now I went down to half of that. I was working instead of 60 hours, I was working like maybe 6, maybe. So,
Right.
yeah,
Right. If you count like all the extras, checking emails and things,
maybe
right?
6 hours. So
Yeah.
it's like it was crazy. I was making technically $500 an hour when I factored in all the work. Yes. So for that same 250, for the same 250 clients,
Wow.
or $250 per client, that's $1,000 profit. That was $1,000. That's what it was. It was $1,000 profit for those 4 clients. At that time I had 4 clients doing SEO. So it was 3,000, but I was paying, I was outsourcing 2,000 of it. I was profiting $1,000, but I worked 2 hours in my business. So that's where the $500 an hour came from. Does that make
Wow.
sense? I know it was
No, yeah, it makes total sense. So you
yeah,
10x'd
yeah,
your income and shrunk your workload.
by 10 times or
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
I went
both.
from
It's right
60
10x
hours down to
up and
2.
10x down.
Yeah. That was
Wow.
it was crazy. And so, I said, yes, I only have $1,000 in profit versus the 3,000, but look at, I went from 60 hours down to 2 hours because it was, again, it's, the company, and they were way better at it. My clients got way better results. So it was also, I
Right.
made more money. I had more time for other things. Instead of working 60, I had, 58 more hours a month to do whatever. And then I didn't have to worry about it, and I got better results. So it was like, why?
Right.
This
It's
is a
like a
no-brainer.
win-win-win-win-win.
There
All
was
over the place.
no losses. So that was one of the first things I did. And the other thing was just outsourcing, or just automating in Facebook, setting up posts. I was so stupid. I was running around every day trying to post for all my clients. And then I said, why am I just not using Facebook's tool to post manually? And then there's other things like Hootsuite and stuff that you can post. But I started
Yeah.
using systems and automation like that, where I would spend one day a month because I'd have to have all the content with my clients approved anyway. I'd spend
Right.
one day and just put that all in. And then eventually, what I'm going to say is I even outsourced that. So then it was eventually I just outsourced. I would go and I started to run my business instead of letting my business run me. So eventually I got to a place where I would meet with my clients for an hour. We would plan out a whole month worth of content. I would take all that, send it to my VA, and then she would take all that and schedule it all. And she would manage engage the content. And I went from, from doing to running because I just was overseeing and managing everything that was going on. So it gave me more time to go on those vacations, and I could check in once a day with my VAs, or or if they had a real problem, to pick up the phone and text me. Now it was just sitting on the beach and relaxing, and then I would hold, like, on vacation, I would say, okay, in the morning I'm available for an hour. If you need me in the evening, maybe a half hour if clients needed me, unless it was a
Right.
real emergency or something, right? But
Yeah.
here's another thing too, for business owners and entrepreneurs. What your clients think is an emergency and what is an emergency are two different things. Being
Oh, say that again. I don't think they heard you in the back.
What your clients think is an emergency and what is an emergency are two totally different things. They never line up. So the other thing I had to learn was managing my clients' expectations and helping them to realize this is not an emergency. You're running a Facebook ad and Facebook shuts down your paid ad. That's an emergency because I'm running funnels, for them, right? That gets
Right.
deactivated. That's an emergency, especially if they're on a deadline, right?
Right.
You didn't like that somebody posted a comment or something, or you changed your mind and said, I don't want to post, that these are
Right.
real life
I want to
examples, right?
swap out this post for
Yeah.
this other
Yeah.
thing today.
I didn't like that post. Well, 3 weeks ago, you told me that was what you approved. Now I changed my mind. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not an emergency. I'll deal with it tomorrow. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Right. Right.
there's people that would agree, I don't know, but like, those are real life
I'm on that
examples.
train with you.
So that's what happened. Those were just, I mean, I did tons of things, but those are just some,
Right.
overviews
Out of
of,
all the things, right? But that's a common denominator, right? For those of us who are in service-based industries, right? That client will come and like, oh my God, freaking out, thinking that it's an emergency when you're like, Pusa, okay, let's and then there comes a lot of coaching that goes along with that, right? Even though we are service providers, but there is a coaching aspect to our business. And that's what I realized, with one of the clients that I had, like I was building, high level funnels and things like that. But what was happening is, right, they're in a high level mastermind, taking all of that stuff, bringing it to our meetings, our planning meetings. And then now I have to distill it and then, distribute the workload to, because she had a team. I was just a manager. Then I was like, wait a minute. Like, you're paying these guys top dollar for this strategy. And then I'm over here executing on the strategy on your behalf. So, like there's a, there's a value, a disproportion happening here.
yeah.
And so, yeah.
It took
Yeah.
me like a year to get to that place. What I just said, it was a year because the first couple 6 months was me trying to get through my mindset issues. And that day, going back to that day on the beach with my family, I was burned out. We talk about burnout. Like I had so much anxiety. I would lay awake at night thinking, oh, I got to do this and this and this and all the
Oh,
struggles.
did I forget to do something?
Right.
Oh,
And I would jump up in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock in the morning, and run out to my home office and remember something SEO wise or whatever it would be, and I was burned out and thinking of all this stuff. And once I switched over like the SEO portion of it, oh, the level of stress and anxiety just alone came off of me for that, because now I know that there's a professional company who's better at this that's going to manage this and do a better job. I don't have to worry about it. Right.
yeah.
It was so much, so the next 2019, when we went back to that same beach, that vacation was totally different. That was a totally different vacation than what it was. And I suspect that a lot of people might think, because I thought this way, that if I automate things and outsource things, I'm going to lose money. But you don't, because it allows you to focus on getting new clients, onboard them, get them going, and turn them over to your team or turn them over to your automation. Here's another example. We talk about funnels and automation processes. I just thought of this. I'm starting to think back now of my journey. You got me thinking, reminiscing. I had one client, she had a video game truck. She was my first client ever, stayed with me the whole time. And she would do these giveaways for like a gift card. She had a video game truck, so free birthday party she'd bring in. Kids could play video games. She did this giveaway for a gift card, $50 gift card to GameStop. So me, being an idiot that I was, I would manually post. People would sign up. I would manually email them, register all this. And then ManyChat came on. Do you know what ManyChat is? Yeah. So I started using ManyChat, and it was like, so it was uh, once I've lost your sound. I can't hear you. I don't know if you can still hear me. Okay. So once I discovered that I could do ManyChat, and I could set up a sales funnel where people could click it and they could go to a landing page and register for the thing, and it would automatically send them an email and a thank you and say you're registered, and it would follow up in ManyChat. Holy cow, that saved me days of time because I didn't have to manually respond to everybody anymore. So it was just one of those things that was great that I learned to manage early on. I still can't hear you. I don't know if it's I'm getting sound from the testing, so
How about now?
now I got you. Yep, I
Okay.
can hear you now.
Okay.
It's like the enemy's trying to stop us, but we're not going to allow this.
Oh no, we're not.
We're going to
No,
keep
we're
going.
not. Yes.
So yeah. So
Okay.
you've heard of ManyChat?
Yes, I have a ManyChat account. I am not.
I
Am
don't
I
use it.
good?
Yeah, you're still good. I can hear you.
So weird. Okay, because it just gave me a notification like nobody can hear you. I'm like,
I can hear you fine. Yeah, I don't use ManyChat anymore, but yeah, it was a good feature. But it was just like you say, using funnels and building out, a landing page where people could automate that, register themselves. And I got so excited when I started seeing like all the messages coming in. This one registered, that one, and then I started seeing like the ManyChat responding automatically because I would set up a sequence of answers, and I would sit there and I would watch it live, and I'd be like, I was like a kid on Christmas, like I was watching it do it itself. I didn't have to do any of this.
that's the same way that I feel. And when I build out, let's take an example like client onboarding funnels for my clients. They sign up a new customer, like they buy a thing, then they get the contract, and then they get the the email, welcome email, book your calls, and it'll go like I love that stuff.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
why you and I jive so well. That's why
Yeah.
I called you my doppelganger. Because we're like right there on those systems and
I love
automation.
those ManyChat things, and I would sit there and watch it. My wife would say, "You're crazy." I'm like, "I look at it; it's doing it by itself." I remember when I discovered, and she's like, Yeah, she's a teacher. She's not geeked out like I am on that. So, but that was a huge thing for me, you know? And
Yes.
ultimately what happened was I ended up making more money. The benefit to it was I made more money learning to do this, set systems up. I thought I would make less money, but I made more money because like I think I said before, I don't know where it cut out, but it allowed me to focus on getting more clients in, and I was able to do more because now I had a team that I could turn stuff over to and not have
Right.
to worry about it. It was just managing it. So here I was thinking I'd make less money, but I made more money and I had more time with my
Yes.
family, you know, and I could still like today. I actually thought up before we got on this, I thought about sitting up outside by the pool. I thought, nah, let me not do that. But I am going to go jump in the pool after this.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Wow. Right. So, I mean, that's the thing about business systems and automations. It allows you to have that freedom. And even like now that you've transitioned from, like a service based, like done for you service based business into your coaching business, right? All of that knowledge applies to like setting up your onboarding funnel for your clients, right? And how you interact with people on social media, right? You can still use your many chat account for
Oh, for
yourself,
sure.
like all the things that oh, and that's what I want the people to take away from our conversation is whether you have like all the businesses, right? Even if you have like a Shopify store, there's systems and automations. Like Zapier is your best friend.
Yep.
You can make all of these things talk to each other
Yeah.
and like things happen what I call automagically. Like I love multi-zap funnels. I mean, I'm not going to geek out too much, but right, that client onboarding funnel that I was talking about, I think there's about 8 or 9 steps in there, and it just happens so seamlessly. So using that example, we had a VA who's in charge of client care. I mean, she's still in charge of client care, but my client likes to work on weekends, and so but the assistants, they're pretty much Monday through Friday, so they'd have to like hop on, like say she closed the client on a weekend Saturday, right? Like, okay, here's the contract. And then of course it was like personalized, like each offer was different, like, no, let's standardize the contract so that we can set up the automation in Zapier, right? So we can set it up in DocuSign and send that one standardized contract, but that also means you have to standardize your offers.
Yep. Yes.
So all of that, right? It's like you said, it's a mindset shift that we have to get into. And even like with your clients now, like as a dadpreneur coach, like getting them to think about that one offer that they want, like how they're going to show up and serve. And it's not even about, okay, like how much money I'm going to make from all these clients that I'm going to sign up if I do the systems and automations. Yes, that's good, but we're eliminating the pressure to perform, right?
Yeah.
I know like women and men, we're built differently. Women are nurturers, but the men are typically the providers. So that's why the men have this pressure, this internal pressure to provide for their families. Like, well, I got to be the breadwinner. I mean, I was a single mom for a long time, and I know Father's Day is coming up, this Sunday, and Mother's Day, Father's Day, like when we are honored as a parent, like it just makes us think about like, well, like, did I even earn my Father's Day card? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think about those things. Like, did I earn my Mother's Day card this year? Not just because of the mentality that we have, but I don't take it for granted that I'm a mother. I did because I was a teen mom. So I did take it for granted for a while, but I don't take it for granted now, even though my kids are in their 20s these days. Like now I'm over here like, like stay with me, like don't go, and like trying to hold on to them. My daughter's gonna graduate college this year, and she's my youngest, and I'm like, no girl, because you realize, I was on a call the other day with one of my productivity mentors, and he was talking about, he was helping another person with their outlining their projects and their quarterly goals, and he's like, well, how old are you right now? Like, so both of us were 43. and he's 42. So he goes, how I think about my years is how many summers do I have left? Because he's helping us plan our summer projects right now. And it's like, I think I have about 50 summers left. What can I do with 50 summers? It's like 50 years seems really long, but how many summers do you have left? And you still have kids living at home. If I had thought about that, like how many summers do I have left with my children? Oh my gosh. Like I think all of us were crying on yesterday's call. Like, and I was crying harder because I was like, wow, my kids are like, I don't have any summers left with them because they're out of school. Like, I don't have any summers left with my children. Like, and what did we do? But that's what, when we get to heaven, it's like, what did we do with our lives? Like, good and faithful servant. Like, how were you good and faithful with, your stewardship? Whether I always think about, and this is what he was working with that other girl on the call. Like she had business projects, no personal projects. And his rule is you have 5 projects max because, that's really about how much you can fit on your plate at a time and perform well, right? When we have too many things, it's like something's going to fall through the cracks. And one of them are, should be our families during the summer. That's what he was trying to say, right? It's summer, right? Vacation. Like you're going to be on the beach with your family. Like you want to jump in the waves. You want to jump in the water. And if you set aside that time to jump in the water with your children, then especially for us who are like, okay, I'm a list check boxer. You're like, I love to check off my boxes. But if this is intentionally my goal for the summer to spend time with my kids, then I can make it intentional. Not like it's not even on my to-do list. So that's the other thing maybe the people can take away today is like, how are you setting up your summer? Are you setting it up with like it's all business related? Or can we have a personal project that is just enjoy the summer with my kid? Because then that will make it intentional for us to enjoy those summers.
Yeah.
And, a side project for that, like if you are knee deep in client fulfillment, well, how can I honestly set up my business so that I can be at the beach house with my kids and unapologetically enjoy the time there, right? It's like, oh, then you reverse engineer the systems and automations that you need with that as the goal. So sometimes we're like, oh, I want to just get more clients. Yes, and like, what is the ultimate goal? There was a parable that I heard where this business owner saw a fisherman, maybe, I don't know, in Malta, perhaps. And he's like, oh, he fishes for the day, brings it home. He plays guitar by the bonfire at night, cooking the fish. And then like, he just fishes every day and comes home every night, enjoys life with his family. And then this entrepreneur, businessman was like, well, you're a good fisherman. So like you could grow and scale that into a bigger business. And he's like, okay. And then what? And then, the guy was like, well, then you could grow and scale, and then you could own a fleet of ships. And then he just kept going on. I don't remember all of the business expansion ideas he was giving this fisherman. And then he was like, gets to like multiple expansion, like $1 million a year. And then the fisherman was like, oh, and then what will I do with having $1 million a year income? He's like, well, then, you can fish all day with your friends. You can come in the night, enjoy time with your wife. It's like, but why would I want to do that when I have that now already? So, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. That's good.
So I know we're nearing the top of the hour. And before we go, I wanted to give you the opportunity to, if you could speak to that one parent who's heard everything that we've said today and is like, that sounds nice, but I just don't know, man. Like, so what would be your wise words of wisdom for that one parent who's still on the fence and not seeing the value of building out systems and automations?
Yeah, I think there's a lot, but one of the greatest things I think that I could share is to not make it about yourself. Like we as business owners, most of us do this for our families and want to make the money for our families. So I think to stop for a second and ask ourselves, what do we think our families want from us? Whether
Yeah.
it be income goals for our business as business owners, what are the things we think our families want? Our spouses, um, our significant others, or if they're single moms or dads, then our children. What do we think that they want from us, and what do we think they need? And that, make that list out, but then go ask them, what do
Right.
you want from me as a
Yes.
business mom? What do you want from me as a business dad? What do you need from me as a business mom? What do you need from me as a business dad? Because I don't want anybody to have that beach moment like I had. That's where my heart is, right? Because I'm telling you right now, 4 years later, you do not want to have that moment. You don't, because it's going to forever and affect me. But for me, it was now when I feel myself getting a little too, going back, it snaps me back and reminds me.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, is to stop and to see, maybe your kids are happy. I don't know, like that. Everybody has their own journey, their own story, their own experience and situation. But I would say start with that. Start with what your families, and ask your kids, especially if you have little kids, and
Yeah.
take a look
They'll
at
tell
the
you.
yeah,
They'll
and
tell
take a
you.
look at the time. Even teenagers, maybe, I don't know. I don't have teenagers yet, but maybe they want less of you. I don't know. But 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 think about what you really want. And you don't have to go all in. You've heard the beginning, middle, and end of my story, and don't get overwhelmed by, oh wow, this guy, he did all these automations. Start with one thing. That's what I did. I started with one simple thing, just to create a little more time for myself, because I really was stuck on that control issue. I really had a hurdle to get over that. I'm like, people are not, they're going to mess up my business. My clients aren't going to like what they're doing. They're gonna can't. So I took one thing. For me, it was turning over one social media or SEO account, and then the other thing I did was just automating those posts. And I just started small, just to
Yes.
see what could happen.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: if you do some of this, and it's not working out, you can always stop doing it. you know,
Exactly. Not like
or
you're like
find
putting the whole basket.
yeah,
Just
don't yeah,
take
you don't
one
have to
egg
go.
out of the basket.
Right, you don't have to go from 0 to 60 like I didn't. It took that process that I told you about, was like a year-long process, where I went from, being on the beach to many chat automatizations and funnels, and that was like a year-long process, right? But it
Yeah.
was it but I think the biggest thing is to find out what you really want, and what does your family really want. Start there and see how that can change, and then see what how you feel, how your family feels. And then if it's not lining up, if it's not, they can reach out to you. Help me with this. Help me to overcome this. They should reach out to you, and say, can you help me with this? And it's okay.
Yeah.
I wish I had somebody that I could have gone to help me process. So I had to do it myself, right?
Yeah.
And that was another reason why I wanted to start serving and helping other dads in business, because I didn't want them to have to struggle for as long as I did, 6 months trying to figure it all out on my own and go through these hurdles. But
Right. That's power of coaching, right? Like,
right,
don't do what I did. Just
they
don't
have
do what
yeah
I
they,
did.
they have access to you. So I mean, to reach out to you, so and say, hey, this is, after they do this, come back to you and say, okay, this is what I've done. Now what do I do? Where do I go from here? Help me move forward with this. So
Right.
that's
Right.
my advice.
Yeah. And I'm so glad that, the dads have someone to look to in you as well, because right, as a mom, even though I worked in oil and gas, which was a highly male demographic, like I think it's like 1% or 2% female. So I mean, I've been with dudes my whole life. I've had brothers my whole life. My sister came when I was like much older. So I can deal with the masculine energy, but there's certain things that I don't understand because I'm not a dad. right? I don't understand the pressure of being a dad and like having the pressure of a provider. I mean, I have, but it was always to the point of like, well, I'm just providing because I have to, because I'm a single mom and I'm out here. The struggle is real. But in my heart, like I wanted to be the nurturer. So right, we were just innately born that way, right? But yeah, so anyhow, if there are any dads and men listening to this broadcast and they need help and they just they just they they don't understand. They've heard us talk today and they want to understand more about what you did, how you grew your businesses, and how you were able to alleviate a lot of that stress and struggle and allow you to spend that time at the beach. Because it's summer, dad bod summer. I don't know what, but you know what I'm saying, right? How can these dads get in touch with you?
Sure. Yeah. I'll share that, but I wanted to go back to the one other thing
Oh, yeah,
too, real
go
quick.
ahead.
And I know we're running on short on time, but the other thing too for that I want to encourage somebody is as you do that, ask yourself this question: why am I afraid to do
Mm,
automation in my business? What is my
mm-hmm.
fear about? Why am I afraid to do this?
Yes.
Ask yourself that question. What's holding me back? What's keeping me from doing that? Because that is where I had to get to, is the mindset thing. So do those things, asking yourselves what your goals, your families, and asking yourself what holds you back and keeps you, what's your fear about for that. And then maybe they can work on that with you. So for dads, they can find me on Facebook. I don't know if you can post a link or somehow, to just my Facebook profile. It's Kurt
Yeah.
E. Best, I think is what it is.
Yes.
Um,
I
yeah,
will link it
put the link.
in
They can
the
find me. I
chat.
also have a
Mhm.
Facebook group for entrepreneur dads called the Entrepreneur's Man Cave. So I can send you. So
Ooh.
that's the first. They can reach out to me on Facebook. They can join that group, and in there is it's a place for us dads to go who are in business. And we're looking, think man cave, hanging out in the man cave, and we can just
Yeah.
share stories in there, share things, whatever's going on. And look, I know for guys, it's hard. We're men. We got to save face. We got to be tough and all this. But you know what? Here's another thing too that I tell dads, and this really gets them. It's like, wouldn't you do anything for your family? Well, I do anything for my wife and kids. I do anything for my girlfriend and my kid, spouse, whatever it is, right? I do anything for my family. Yeah, well, you won't do anything. Then why won't you fix the issues you have going on with your business? And then they're
Yep.
like, it's okay. I've
Right.
been this. I've walked in those shoes. I'm not somebody out here who hasn't walked in your shoes. So,
Yeah.
so they can find me through the Entrepreneur's Man Cave. It's a great place. There's a lot of great content in there. I share a lot of great content uh, in there for dads. Some great stuff. Just because I know that there's dads that have challenges and struggle with things, and there's things that keep you up at night. I know I was one of those dads. So there's some great resources in there that they can get their hands on that are free resources to help them with things like time management and stuff like that to get them going.
Yeah. Yeah. That's, I know time management. It's that, that whole aspect of time management.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's one of the ones. So that's how they can
And
find me.
yeah. Okay. So what I will do is I will link your profile in the chat
Please.
and you can get to the Entrepreneur's Man Cave through your cover
Right, because
for it.
once they go onto my profile, they'll see there's a link on my bio. It's all over the place. They
All
can't
the
miss it.
links, right? Because
They'll
we
find it for sure.
understand those things, like, right? Because social media manager, he understands these things.
Yeah,
All the links.
they're all in there.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Um, well, again, thank you, Kurt, for being here and sharing your story and your journey. And I'm so glad that you laid out the numbers for us with the, automations and systems and outsourcing and how that actually saved you time and money. Well, you paid out money, but profit, like revenue and profit,
Yeah,
right? You were profitable.
yeah,
You spent way less time working in your business. Yeah, as I teach my clients, like whatever needs your face, then you keep it. Anything that doesn't need your face, get rid of it.
100%.
Get rid of it. Like,
That's what I did.
right, get in front of more clients, right? If you have to do discovery calls and right, that has to be your face because you're the face of the business. You're selling that that
Right.
service. But it doesn't have to be you doing it. And like Kurt just proved it, just proved the point when he outsourced that CEO stuff. See, SEO. When you outsource your SEO to become the CEO of your business, that's what I think I meant to say.
Yeah.
But right, that makes you the owner of the business and not the worker in your business. Not that working in your business is bad, but right, how do we elevate ourselves to that level of CEO and business owner instead of our businesses owning us? I love how you frame that. So again, if you want to get in touch with Kurt, go ahead and click on the link in the comments. I'm going to post that. And then yeah, and if you're watching this on the replay, go ahead, ask your questions, tag Kurt.
Yep.
And like he knows how to engage on social media. He'll come back.
I'll find you.
Yeah. And if it's something private that you want to talk to him about, like shoot him a DM.
Yep.
You know, because he's here for you. I'm here for you. Like, and the other thing I really wanted to stress is, right, who does God want you to be out here doing? Like, who does God want you to be? Who has God called you to be? God didn't call you to be, you know, the worker bee in your business. If you're here listening to this, you are a leader of leaders and you are here to change the world. And you can't change the world by staying small. So it's really time to grow and expand your business.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who that was for, but that was just what dropped in my spirit right now.
Yeah. Here's another thing too. It's like we talk about tithing and people always think of tithing on their money, but you know what? God also, and we're to be good stewards of all that God calls us to be. Well, we're also to be good stewards of all the time that God gives us.
Yes.
So we need to manage our time well and be good stewards of that time. We get 168 hours a week. How much, how well are you stewarding your time? Does God want you working 150 hours in your business? Or does he want you working 50 hours and, more to, people have hopes and dreams and desires and things outside of business. I started also having time to volunteer more and just do more things that I wanted to do, not just spend time with my family, pick up hobbies that I didn't do in years, do other things that I love to do. So we need to be good stewards of our time too, not just, it's one of the resources God gives us.
Yeah, 100%. And I want to stress time is a finite resource. Money is not. Money
Correct.
ebbs and flows. Time is linear.
Yep.
Unless you're dealing with Kairos time, and that's a whole nother ball game, but still.
Yeah.
Right. But we have to be good stewards of our Chronos time and let God steward the Kairos time.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. Wow. We covered a lot. And I feel like we may have you back on again because you just have such a plethora of information to share with everyone. And I just love jamming with you about all the geeking out on tech and all the things.
I know. I don't have anybody else to geek out with. My wife is like, she's a teacher, she's got little kids, so
yeah,
not much tech going on.
Okay. Well, again, reach out to Kurt, reach out to me, and we'll definitely see you guys in the comments and in the DM. And with that, take care. Have a great day.
Bye. Thank you.